All right, welcome everyone to this very special Force Friday. We're obviously pre-recording here with the holidays, and I hope that you're all having an awesome holiday, by the way. Uh, so we're going to cover our inspirations. We thought this would be a great way of not only ending this year, but beginning 2021, and share with you the top five for each one of us. Some of us will have top 10. I've got sort of a five extra I just want to do as sort of honorable mention to. So I'm going to go first because I want you all to be aware of who my top five are and why, and how they actually helped me develop the whole force drawing approach in the first place. So let's get started here. So my first choice, ironically, is not super forceful at all. Some force, obviously, in the work, but not as much as some of the others you're going to see in the near future. Uh, that artist's name is Sergio Topi. He's an Italian artist. He passed away, actually, I would say within the last 3 to 5 years. And I happened to find him by chance. I was at a comic book convention probably around 2005 down in Southern California, not Comic Con, a different one. When I happened to come across books of his, and I was just blown away. He really encapsulated a lot of the different things that I really love in art. And as you can hopefully see here, there's this interesting combination between 2D and 3D, and I really do think that that's a really important skill to have as an artist, is to understand the two dimensionality of the piece of paper. No matter what you're doing, if you're drawing or painting, you are still on a two-dimensional plane, and that over time you learn how to gain control over that plane. And I think Topi does a great job of that. I also happen to love exaggeration. So, he plays with scale and space a lot. For instance, in this middle here, let me get my zoom tool here. In this middle image, we have this character here, and it looks like there's this spiky gate, and it's within this character that we have what looks like a tall door that ends up, dropping down, or looks like it could potentially drop down on this guy, right? And I think that that's just super, super unique. He also has like pattern in here. He's got grayscale. So black to white shape is really interesting. He does some color work. He's mostly known for black and white. And his general style is one of, it almost feels like old National Geographic imagery. But again, I love the shapes. I love the scale, the big to the small, the storytelling that's done in here. And some of this stuff is just so over the top, like the massiveness of this horse in comparison to this, this small rider. There's just so much stuff, going on. I just feel like he's hitting everything I like about drawing and art at every different level. So before we move on, I forgot to say hello. Let's say hi to everyone. Hey
Hello,
Diego, how you doing?
you're here.
Yes. How's everyone doing? How you doing, Swinley?
Good, inspired.
Good. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys have brought in. Just so that you, the audience, know, I have no idea what they're bringing in today. So here we are. We'll see what each other likes when it comes to what inspires us. And how you doing, Matunjay?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Yeah. Is
Pretty
it
much
cold by
fine.
you today? I see you're wearing a jacket.
Yeah, it's really cold. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
shaking right
And then
now.
Diego over there is worrying about air conditioning and power outages, right?
Yeah,
I
this
feel
is
cold.
it's hot in here. It's hot in here.
Yeah.
We're already missing these guys, these guys here, because this is strange. This is recorded, so we are not reading what you're saying. I hope you're saying good
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We were all talking before we came on already as to how different this feels with it not being live. So we'll see how it goes. Personally, I really love having you guys there. It's great to be able to converse with you while we're doing the meeting. But like I said, it's the holidays, so we're going to hopefully try to inspire you to sit down during your vacations and draw and check out all these names that we're going to be sharing with you during this hour. All right, so let me go head back to Photoshop. I'll show you some of my other inspirations. So like I said, Sergio Topi, I would say one of my favorites. He's been my favorite since around 2005. I would put him at the top of the list. To me, he's like a really high benchmark in not only having force and rhythm in the drawings, 2D to 3D design, He plays with value, black to white. He can draw very realistically or cartoony. He plays with pattern as well, pattern and shaping. And there's this kind of level of abstraction all the way to realism. And that, again, that's something I really, really enjoy myself. So Sergio Topi, I would say, is my #1 pick. Now, that's now. If you had asked me what was my top 10 or whatever, maybe 10 or 15 years ago prior to Topi, I would pick up here. I would say my next big pick, no surprise here, is Frank Frazetta. Frazetta profoundly affected my life. I studied him in nauseum during my college years and even years thereafter. I think I can't remember if I've told you guys this story or not, but his museum was in Pennsylvania and I'm from New York. So I traveled out there many times in my college years, always hoping that I would actually bump into him. I got the second best thing, which was his wife. So I spoke to his wife many, many times about him and his work. And, you know, there were all these original paintings up that I used to go and stare at. And, you know, of course, Frazetta is filled with force, right? Anyone on the website knows, from the premium members to the mentored members, that we all go through the process of studying this image on the right-hand side. You know, because if you look at this closely, you'll see, and by the way, this is with brush, right? So keep that in mind, this inking. Not only the, you know, skill that he has with his hand to handle this brush to, you know, create something like this, but how much force he uses in these lines to create the rhythms of the body. And you can see how he moves from the obliques over here, up the back, over the trapezius, and then down and around the deltoid, and then he goes for form in the rest of the arm. And, you know, Frazetta doesn't only do it with line to create all these like undulating muscles, but also composition. He's getting light and shadow, you know, he's getting rendering out of it, the anatomy out of it, and it's all done with that same line, right? So pretty damn powerful. And I love drama. You know, I love science fiction and fantasy. You know, I grew up with all of that. I played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. You know, I'm into Star Wars. Like, that's my headspace. So, you know, here's this guy who's painting and drawing these amazing illustrations of fantastic worlds with very dramatic people doing very dramatic things, right? So Frazetta, most definitely, you know, will always be in my top 5. Okay, and I would say right there with Frazetta is Glen Keane. I didn't really know about Glen Keane until I was in art school. You know, and that's probably times in pretty closely when he started getting some fame and traction, which was with The Little Mermaid. He had done some amazing scenes prior to that too. Like, he worked on Ratigan, and he also did The Bear and Fox and the Hound, which is amazing. If you haven't seen that, you got to go watch The Fox and the Hound. Just to watch the bear scene is fantastic. But, you know, after I had gone to Disney Animation and then understood animation itself and returned back and started teaching, Glen Keane, along with Frank, were two guys that I just kept coming back to and showing all the different students their work, like over and over and again, year after year. And I still show Glen's work. And here I am 25 to 30 years later from, you know, starting to teach drawing. You know, he's doing everything that I teach, you know, and not only that, but he's doing it from the imagination, and he animates with it, which, if anyone knows how to animate in 2D, is no small feat, right? It's pretty challenging skill to be able to animate in 2D. So yeah, Glen Keane, super passionate. You know, you can see that in the line and the way he draws. Super skilled, right? All the structures there, anatomy is always there, perspective is always there. And he has amazing shape design. All the straight to curve stuff we've talked to you guys about is buried throughout all of this work. And he's just doing it on the fly, right? So amazing, amazing skill level. And just an inspiring guy. If you haven't heard him ever talk, I'm sure on YouTube you can find him, you know, giving talks about animation across the different characters that he's portrayed over the duration of the 90s, right? And if you're not aware of this, he also just recently directed Over the Moon, right? So that's his sort of really big, I would say, directorial debut. All right, my number 4 is J.C. Leyendecker. I think I found out about Leyendecker in art school, so I didn't really understand his full value in art school, ironically, until I came back from Disney Animation. It's like, well, what does Disney Animation and Leyendecker have to do with one another? What I started to recognize in Leyendecker's work is his capacity to shape, right? To shape things out, and his level of design. So, you know, you can see here Here, I'll draw on this for a quick second. Like this hand is amazing. You know, it's done really, really well. You know, he's still playing with the idea of curved to straight shapes. You know, even in something like the tip of the thumb, right? Here's just the shape of the thumb. But the shape of this thumb is really well designed, you know. And Leyendecker, what really blows my mind is he doesn't only do it from a drawing standpoint, he's doing that within the painting. And if you start digging into the painting, you know, you start looking at the shapes of the highlights and the shadows, right? They're all sort of graphically shaped out as well. Man, that takes a lot of planning, you know, a lot of thinking, a lot of work to go into not only the drawing itself, but into these deeper concepts of the shapes of tones and values to get your painting to work in a way that is aesthetic, you know, with forceful shape at every level, right? So that kind of blew my mind. When I saw this in his work, I was like, damn, now I know why I really like this guy. I knew I liked him, I just couldn't figure out why. And I started digging deeper and I was like, I see, he's pushing into the shape aesthetic. I was really lucky that, you know, coming from New York, there's, I hope it's still there, I don't know if it is, but there's a gallery, or was a gallery in New York, called Illustration House. If you live in New York or in the tri-state area, I would go check it out, especially, you know, obviously after the virus is over. They have a ton of like American illustrators, and they would have original J.C. Leyendeckers there. So I always had the opportunity to go in there, and they'll bring stuff out for you, even if they'll have a show, like a show that's up on the walls. And if the artist that you want to see is not there and you ask them to see something, they'll bring it out and put it in front of you. I mean, I've had original Leyendeckers like in my hands, you know, beautiful paintings that I could just sit there and, you know, study and look at. I'm trying to absorb. So again, J.C. Leyendecker, I think if Leyendecker was alive, he'd be like the ultimate character designer. You know, he'd probably be working at one of the studios, you know, and I'm not the only one that loves him, you know. The whole animation industry knows about J.C. Leyendecker. Like, he's gained a lot of fame over the last 20 years or so. Okay, last but not least, for my top 5, I'm kind of cheating here because I'm creating a bigger bucket, but I would say the Renaissance. You know, and that includes, you know, all the big guys there, right? You have Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Bernini, right? Caravaggio, Tintoretto, right? There's a ton of guys in that space of the Renaissance in Italy that just exploded force, right? And again, even prior to me knowing that, I still really admired the Renaissance artists before it became the force instructor. But now, you know, teaching force, and I just started bringing these guys back again, quite frankly, and mentoring. I think there's obviously a lot of value at us looking at these guys in the Renaissance because they are working with force, right? You can see all of these drawings have plenty of movement and rhythm in them. The bodies are very alive. Yet they're aware of silhouette and shape design, right? Like, look at this. This is Michelangelo drawing here on the left. When you look at these drawings, by the way, I always look for where it's the least finished, right? Because that shows you how somebody thinks, right? It's like, here's their first step. This is what they do, right? So this is a Michelangelo drawing, right? And look at that arm. Notice it has force in it. It's got rhythm, right? Like, it's going this way. So the force is there already. But what he went after was the shape, right? So he sees the silhouette of the arm, right? He's got this outline here. And you can see he even scribbled in here. He's like, yeah, that's the shape of the arm, right? It's like him quickly toning it in. There's the arm. He sees the shape of it, and it's got force in it. And over here, he's using all these lines, the same line that we use doing this, right? And he's over here sculpting out light and shadow and all these muscles, right? So he's using all the same tools that we use at drawingforce.com. And here it is buried in a Renaissance piece, right? Look at this. This is Raphael, right? Look over here. Notice all those lines right here. You can very clearly see him sculpting through the leg like this from light into shadow, and he's moving with the direction of force from the outside edge into the knee and then to the back of the calf, right? And you can see the movement up in the shoulder and down the arm. Look at this beautiful neck, right? And how it sweeps up like this. Last but not least, this is also Raphael. Just see the pulling and twisting that's happening here and how he's using line to turn the body, right? So, you know, it's never going to hurt you to go look at the Renaissance, right? And as you all know, I've been going to Italy now for the last 6 years or so every summer to teach. So I'm always surrounded by the skill of these guys. If you want to be surrounded by force, it's like just spend a month in Italy, you know, especially Florence and Rome, I would say, is the two meccas of force. And, you know, you see it in the paintings, you see it in the drawings, you see it in the sculpture, right? It's just surrounding you all the time. Okay. Last but not least, I put this other top from 6 to 10, I guess, my second half of a top 10 list here of others that really have affected my life. Klaus Janson. Klaus Janson worked with Frank Miller on The Dark Knight. He was the inker on that, and then he later moved on to doing pencils. Klaus mentored me the year after I graduated from college, so I'll never forget that. He was an amazing mentor and taught me a lot about storytelling and composition and drawing. So definitely Klaus. Mike Mignola, who most of you probably do know. If you don't, he's the guy who created Hellboy. I think his ability to tell story is incredible, and he does that in a very graphically designed way, all the way down to the color choices he makes. And he happens to actually use force as well in a more graphic manner. So definitely Mike Mignola. Heinrich Kley, who ironically, you know, over on Proco stand, they just took a look at a sketchbook of this that Stuart Ing had gotten his hands on. And, you know, Kley is huge, right? Like you could see how much force and movement and rhythm were in his drawings. Looking at Heinrich Kley's work, I would still say to this day really helped me get into Disney animation. When I first tried to get in, the representative from Disney told me to take a look at Heinrich Kley. I was in school a senior year. I'd never heard of Heinrich Kley. So thankful that they brought him to my attention, right? Because I just learned so much from him that following year, and that I think helped me get into Disney my second time. Walt Simonson's another comic book artist. He inspired me in the early years when I was in school, and still to this day, I'd say one of my favorite comic book artists. He's probably most known for his series on Thor, which is the time period that the Marvel movies are being made on right now. So go check those out. I think, and check out Walt Simonson. Really powerful, again, very good, strong graphic shapes with a lot of force and very solid, really meaty, heavy drawings. You know, he was great on Thor because everyone's like thick and bulky and really, really well designed. And last but not least, I put Bob Peak here. There's a couple of other names I could throw in here that take place from like the 50s to 70s with illustration. I picked Bob. He's the one that I think really sort of most profoundly affected me. But Bob Peak was an illustrator. He did a lot of movie posters that you may have seen in the past. But there's this time period in there again where these artists were really great at sort of graphic design mixed with drawing. Bob Peak in some ways is very similar to Sergio Topi. So, you know, if you look up Bob Peak and you look up Sergio Topi, you'll start seeing where my head is at. And I use those ideas when I'm drawing the figure all the way to, you know, to design. In fact, I would say a lot of the stuff that Bob Peak or Topi does, you'll find in the Force character design book from figure drawing, right? Like bounding boxes and playing with proportion and shape, and then using those as graphic elements to represent your ideas. So those are all of mine. You guys have any questions about my my 5 or 10?
No, I actually I didn't know the first 5.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so hopefully that's good news. Actually, hopefully you know you guys also then get to learn about some of the new some new artists to look out. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm curious to see what you guys showed today. So maybe I'll have some new people to check out myself. All right, so who do we say was next? Swenley, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's all yours.
Right, let's go. So my top 10 art inspirations, I have similar to Mike, I have a combination of artists and also some intellectual properties in here. First of all, like this is for me where it all started. Like this is the first, these are the first characters I remember like consciously drawing when I was about, I think maybe 4 years old. I think 4 or 5 years old. Like I was totally crazy about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, this was the original show back then. At least for me, I think most of us here grew up with this animation, and yeah, like they were like a major inspiration for me, both in terms of animation, but also in terms of character design. Like I was watching this show like crazy, and then go and do drawings. You know, come back and watch the show and do more drawing. So this IP definitely holds a special place for me in my heart. And of course, oh wait, I want to show something else. Let me see this TV animation. Let's see. Oh yeah, I see it. So yeah, of course, I played the video game also. Like,
It's funny.
yeah, man, I was just like, I hadn't looked at this for years. Like today was literally the first time I looked at. I didn't even remember what the Game Boy graphics looked like.
Right.
But yeah, I remember borrowing this video game from a friend at school and going totally crazy over the artwork. You know, I loved the forcefulness and the expression, you know, and the sword coming right at us. So this was again major inspiration. You know, playing the game, going do some drawings, and invent my own characters in this universe. So it was an awesome time. And of course, nowadays you have the newer version, the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I also really love. Like, I mean, look at this, look at the shape design, you know, great shapes, bright colors. Like this is right in my street when it comes to design. So, and I really love how they uh, uh, blend it again, like the shapes and, you know, filling it with just enough form for it to be three-dimensional. But yeah, this IP is for me. This was like the starting point. If I think back of myself drawing as a child, like this was it for me.
Yeah, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man, they inspired a lot of people, you know, a lot of
Mm.
artists. It's kind of like Star Wars, you know, and directors and artists. Like it's just a property that inspired a lot of people to go into the arts. It's cool.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And next one would be the Justice League, and actually all the animations in the Bruce Timm style. You know, like Batman, the animated series, and Superman. I think that is where it started, and later on, they transitioned into the whole Justice League. But again, man, I was like totally crazy about this stuff as a kid. Like, and I think again, it's because of the shapes. Like Bruce Timm has this really simple style with shapes, which also have like a clear sense of solidity to them, and that's really attracted me as a kid. And yeah, and even till this day I do a lot of studies from these shows, you know, just to help me develop my overall shape and balancing shape with form skills actually.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce Timm, he brought Warner Brothers like superheroes back into the world. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. You know, Bruce Timm really changed. Man, he just really changed TV animation, right? He brought superheroes back in. You know, it was kind of dead, I would say, on TV. There was really nothing going on until like the animated, like you said, Batman and Superman came on. You know.
yeah, I love the efficiency of his style most of all. You know,
Hmm.
it's super simple. Like, you know, all the guys have like this super big upper body and narrow legs, you know, and the females have this characteristic like hourglass shape. So I really like the simplicity of his style. And yeah, it's just an inspiration up until this day.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, and of course I'm a big anime fan,
Hmm.
and one of my favorite artists is a guy called Yo Yoshinari. And I would say, like, in looking at his work, one big eye opener for me was and seeing how he approached his robot, his mech designs, the same with the same looseness and fluidity as he does his characters. You know, so I was like, whoa! Like, if I would draw something like the this, I think this Transformers at the right screen right, Like, I think the natural idea would be to start with these geometric forms. But again, it was surprising and eye-opening for me to see that, look at here, look how loose and fluid he started with the drawings, because these guys have to move, they have to have a sense of fluidity and energy. You don't want the characters to stiffen up all of a sudden, so for me, like anime artists are a good reminder for me, at least the good ones are a good reminder for me for staying really loose and fluid with your drawings, And I would say like the downside that I find about it is there isn't much exploration in terms of style, but the animation I find is really good. They're really aware of physics, like gravity plays a major role. It's always like very evident. They're aware of force. It's all in there. It's, for me, it's a great inspiration looking at anime in terms of drawing with life and force actually. Let me see. So I had this guy, and this is Hiroyuki Imaishi. And for the anime fans out there, you might recognize his work from the anime Kill la Kill, which I have here. Like, man, look at these drawings. Like, talk about drawing without fear. It's evident that he's really focusing on expressing ideas, and he's not holding back. Like, look at this curve at the back and how he's stretching the figures. So again, really inspiring in terms of staying loose, and just drawing without fear, like Metunje always reminds us of.
Yep.
Always reminding of you.
Yeah, it's not easy to do what he's doing there with such an immediate line, to get the perspective and draw from imagination, right? That's pretty tricky. It's good.
Yeah, indeed. And I think, again, for me, these guys are like inspiring in terms of, because I learned to draw initially with geometric forms, and of course the results were decent, but I always saw these guys like flesh out the figure like kind of effortlessly in a way. And I always was wondering how they did that. How do you end up with a solid figure without using geometric forms, without like going through this tediousness of constructing it. And yeah, thankfully with force, I learned how to do that. It's more of a sculptural approach to drawing. All right, let's see. That was number 2. And then in terms of sculpture, of course, I have Kent Melton with the Disney maquettes, like really awesome. Again, this is a good example of having appealing shape, but yet with form, because here he's working with a real thing. He's working in 3 dimensions. So you can't cheat it, you have to find a balance between form and shape. And so studying these was again a good exercise for me to develop those skills, even on paper. So definitely an inspiration that I constantly look at and study from up until this day.
Yeah, it's awesome that you brought in a sculptor.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I approach drawing more from a sculpting standpoint. Like I'm sculpting the figure or character with line. So this is the mindset that I try to get into, and I also look at actual sculptors and how they work with clay. Starting with a big chunk and then massaging it until it ends up looking, something like this. And it's the same way I approach my drawing nowadays.
Yeah, it's cool.
Let's see. And then I have my honorable mentions. Joe Madureira, which most of you would know from the video game Darksiders nowadays. But back in the day when I was a child, he was most well known for the comics, his own comics, Battle Chasers, and also the X-Men back then. And he also was heavily inspired by anime, and I think that also attracted me to his work, like really cool designs and very expressive characters.
Yeah,
Also,
he really he inspired a huge amount of artists as well. You know, there's many
Yeah.
people that I've taught in the past that have been like, Joe Mad, right? Like he's the reason I'm here. You know, I want to learn, I want to understand what he's doing. How's this guy doing this, you know?
Mm. Yeah, he's amazing, very skilled artist.
Yeah.
And then we have Mark Silvestri from
Yeah.
the comics The Darkness and Witchblade.
Yeah, he was
Like,
one of
man,
the Image guys, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
like awesome. You know, his drawings look like sculptures almost. You know,
Hmm.
like I really loved all his like understanding of anatomy, and yet keeping it dynamic and fluid.
Yeah. He was my, I would say besides McFarlane on Spider-Man, Mark Silvestri out of those Image guys was my favorite. He was way more dramatic than many of them, outside of, again, McFarlane, who was bending Spider-Man all over the place. But I really liked Silvestri a lot.
Yeah, indeed. Talking about Todd McFarlane, he's also a major inspiration. Actually, I
Hmm.
forgot to include him. Like,
Hmm.
man, to your point, I
Hmm.
don't think many artists managed to exploit Spider-Man's agility like he did. Like,
That's
man,
true.
that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I have Yutaka Nakamura, one of the big names in anime. Again,
Hmm.
well known from Sword of the Stranger and Cowboy Bebop.
Hmm.
So very skilled artist. Like he's the guy that they call in when they have like big action scenes that they want to really stand out in anime. So really great reference to look at.
Hmm.
And of course, Glenn Keane, which was already mentioned,
Hmm.
and also John Nevares, which we recently did an interview with on the Force Drawing channel.
Hmm.
Like John is always a reminder for me to just again draw without fear, and uh, he draws super loose, and he's like just get the idea down and then you can fix it. Like that mindset of him, and the looseness and the energy with which he approaches his drawings is very inspiring to me.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think he's a good reminder of just draw, you know, just get it down.
Yeah.
Worry about it later. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, those are awesome. That's cool. I didn't realize you would have this much anime in your background. It's really cool to see that and how much the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was an inspiration for you, you know, and
Yes.
comics and comic
Where's
books. Cool.
Barney?
Huh?
Where's Barney?
You have to draw it.
Come
Yeah,
on.
Barney's like at number 30 or 40. He's on there. He's on the list. He's just further down. All right, Matunje, you're next.
All right. Mm, share the screen. Share the screen. Share the screen. All right, here we go. So before even telling my top whatever, right, top
Mhm.
artists, I want to like talk about this really cool stuff. I like really cool thoughts. So just a little quick tip for you, like motivation versus
Oh
inspiration.
man, he's giving us a motivational speaker talk. We thought we were going to see
But
art. What are you doing?
this is really important. The thing is, I want you to get inspired by this, not motivated, because motivation is
Mm,
like temporary, right? If I just have to say it in a nutshell, be inspired by this, and like every stream or whatever you're seeing, don't like get motivated just it's because it's temporary, right? So because so let's start about I had some overlaps with Mike on some of the artists, but I have some different points I want to say about some of the artists. So let's get started. So this is where it all started. In my college time, the first artist, like the most important artist, or even in my school time, is like sixth grade or seventh grade. I came stumbled upon this man, Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, so what's actually like very very inspired like keep me inspiring about this guy. Let me share this. Okay, so let's look at have his work. Okay, so anatomy. Basically, just every new guy like who started out, he's been like given by his teachers that yeah, learn anatomy if you want to get better at art. And this is what I was taught. By my school professor. He's like, yeah, if you want to go get better at art, learn anatomy and look at Leonardo. He's a great guy. So yeah, just look at here's anatomy of Leonardo's and just look how detailed it is. Okay, and I mean, yeah, it's very, very inspiring. Obviously, if a new guy is just starting out looking at his work, is like, oh my God, like poof, like head blown out. But some of the inspiring things when I like really get into detail into his stuff, some of the techniques that he's using. Okay, so we talked about like all ideas all the time, like focus on the main ideas and all this kind of stuff, like going for the life of a being. Okay, if you're making a human being or a living thing, right? But look here, his idea of making the muscles, and let me just highlight that for you. um maybe like in red. Okay, so just look like how actually he's making the pectoralis and like all the muscles connection. So he got the origin of it, got the insertion of the muscle, but still you're able to see like the underneath, like what lies beneath that muscle. Okay, so yeah, a lot of good ideas, a lot of good stuff. Now he's kind of exploring now what he's even looking at. So a normal muscle would be looking something like this, right? It's just like pure muscle there, but look how he's like giving ideas to his drawings. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna make some strands, okay, so I can see beneath there, what lies beneath there, and still I'll see able to see the insertion and the origin of the muscles. Okay, so yeah, a great guy, really great. He's pushing out so many ideas in there as well. Yeah, just look. It's very inspiring. Yeah, just so he's even doing like some creature kind of thingy. Okay, so what we're like doing in the modern world, so you can see like the weird faces. It's like blown out of proportions versus the normal human being, right? So I mean, it is so amazing to see how that guy is just like exploring so many and like so many things at that time, where there's like no electricity, you gotta work in candles, right? And he's like ahead of his time. Look at the composition again, and he's using flat lines, right? He's using like lines like this, like most of the time you can see like in the composition to give it some kind of energy in there, right? All right. Yeah, so the same stuff with his notes, I would say, because he has like different, like all types of notes that you can imagine, like architectural, botany, anatomical, right? Even as poetry and architecture and engineering, whatever, right? So yeah, you can see he's like defining form with the sculpting lines, right? This is what we basically call like wrapping. So for example, like this is the form in here. So he's not like going with the flow. He's just wrapping like a little bit of lines to show the form in there. Okay. Architecture again. So you can say like this guy's just totally he's like totally out of his mind. He's like crazy. Okay. He just like want to do anything, and that is the thing that inspires me. He's like people says, and I do believe this. You cannot master all this stuff, but he's one of the guy that did. Okay, so that is one of the biggest inspiration for me. He's like, yeah, if you want it, you can do it. Yeah, maybe. So, and I love this thought. Both of these thoughts by him. The first is simplicity is the limits of sophistication, and it is far tough. Okay, people think, yeah, just drawing a forceful line is nothing, but you don't know like what goes behind that. Okay, what the idea, the story goes behind it. So simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Okay, and this thought, the here, everything connects to everything else. Okay, yeah, really, and it really, this is what my life is based upon, yeah, till now. Okay, and even in future it would be. It's just like, yeah, everything's connected to everything else. People see, for example, like drawing as different stuff. You're like, yeah, figure drawing is different, still life drawing is different, and animal drawing is different. But no, drawing is drawing. Okay, and don't take them as like separate thing. If you're talking about drawing, drawing is drawing. Okay, if you're talking about design, design is a design. Okay, so yeah, solely based upon my life
So two
on.
two two things there. First of all, these guys from the Renaissance, it's why we have the term like Renaissance man, or let's say Renaissance person or artist now, meaning somebody who's good at a lot of different things, right? And I think to your point, Leonardo is such a great example of, and same with Michelangelo, right? Like not only were they drawing and painting and sculpting, Leonardo was almost like a scientist that can draw, right? Or a biologist that can draw. And out of that came this term Renaissance man, because it's people that were doing all things, right? And they were just creative across all aspects with some golden rules underneath them to help them across those different aspects. Then I had this other cool idea, which is we're basically like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Because we have, Mrityunjay, the gag last week was Leonardo da Vinci, right? I guess I would take Michelangelo just because it's close to Michael. And then Diego and Swenley can duke it out over the other two turtles. Right. Who are the other two, Swenley?
My middle name is Raphael, so it's pretty much
Raphael.
So you're Raphael. And who's the last turtle then?
Donatello.
Donatello.
I gotta be Donatello. I have a fly flying around here.
Yeah, that's
D
perfect.
for Donatello,
So
Diego.
there you go. So we're the Ninja Turtles of Force drawing. All right. Anyway, sorry, I had to say that.
That's cool. Force Mutant Turtles. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, causing an overlap with you, Mike. Sorry.
No,
I
it's
have to
good.
mention this guy. Yeah. Michelangelo. Great guy, So let's jump right in with this guy. Yeah, again, the same drawing I pulled
Same
out
drawing.
because
Mhm.
yeah, I want to talk about what is the most inspiring thing that you mentioned a little bit, but I want to elaborate on that. It's when we're focusing on the main ideas when drawing the figures, okay, if there's something that's unnecessary in your drawing, you may want to leave it or keep it out of focus. It is something like he's implementing the landscape rules into the figure drawing. He's kind of like that. So
Mhm.
far the landscape goes, it's become blur and it's become unsaturated towards blue, and all those kind of things, the air kind of interrupts in between and affects your vision. So he's kind of doing this kind of thing. So
Mhm.
let's see, his main idea is about the torso and the pulling of that, and his hand is not, does a separate study for the hand you see here. Okay, so he's not really sure about that hand, how it will look very good, okay, or something like this. So he just a separate study of it. This is what I like, the main study and all the separate studies, or maybe a zoomed in studies where he want to focus more around that. Okay, so really good. Leonardo also known to have that, do that very much. But look at Michelangelo's. It's more simpler. Leonardo's is more, I would say, a little bit complicated. He's super thin pointed needle stick. He's drawing with that. But yeah, look at the simplicity again from the Leonardo's thought that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So you may have a look at this. Amazing drawing. Look at the feet there. Okay. Even he's not able to include the feet in the whole paper. He just did a separate study for that as well. And these are, I guess, these are from the Sistine Chapel studies, and he has to do his studies first of all, and then jump to the scene. He doesn't okay, I'm just gonna paint it, something like that. So look at the amount of study that goes into making creating a masterpiece like that. Okay.
Yeah, I'd
It
like
is.
to add to that. When we look at these drawings, the drawings themselves, these guys were doing these as studies, right? So these weren't even intended to be seen by the public. He may have just shown it to, his client, which is probably one of the churches or the Medicis. But that's kind of why they're amazing. And that's what I try to teach you guys on Force. What we all try to teach you guys is, the drawings are there to learn, right? You learn how to draw, but you're trying to understand the human body and be enamored and be in awe of the human body. And that's what these guys did really well. So none of these drawings were an end product. They were just like a stepping stone for them to do a painting or to do a sculpture. And I think that's actually what makes these drawings so amazing, is they're kind of fearless, because they're just them trying to figure things out. They'd have a live model and they would sit and study that model and try to get as much information as they could from them, because they were going to take that, which nowadays we would do with a photograph, right? But they had these drawings and they would use those drawings to inform their other artwork, right? So the challenge nowadays is, can you get yourself into that headspace, and not worry about the drawing being a final product, that you're just sitting there trying to figure things out and study.
Yeah, cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as you said, is this a study, so just I want to just mention this picture because it's just look at the ideas that he's getting out of that picture. He just was just like, yeah, leg is body is kind of important. Leg is kind of important, but look at the weight that he's like pushing with his hands on the floor or whatever the surface is. Okay, seems like a little bit of smooth surfaces, like kind of like bouncy. He's just like making such kind of lines. So the um, the surface is kind of pushed with his hands, with weight as his hands. But yeah, just look at the ideas, just getting the main things done and leaving like what kind of unnecessary to him at that point on his study. Yeah, really cool. Look at the cool neck, which is like flowing around like this, and the folds going from the back to the neck. Yeah, really fluid. Um, yeah, see this. He has to like do first his studies, and then it will came to be a final product, just like Mike said. Um, and look at all the different studies. He's like making different detailed studies of the, and look at the amount of iteration. I also included this picture that showing you the power of iteration. Just look here. He's doing like 3 thumb studies, maybe even here like fourth, or maybe even more on separate pages. But yeah, he's not getting it right, or maybe he just want to make some changes to that so it looks more good, right? Something like this. A wrist study in here, a face, and you can see this face is more rendered. Okay, this is not that much. I mean, you can see like contrast, like more contrast in the small one, but he still did a full one. Okay, just to kind of maybe clearing out his thoughts on some of the features, maybe. Okay, so yeah, same thing, focusing on main ideas, not focusing on what's unnecessary to him. So, and he kind of like improved. You can see he's like the torso is like this, but he just like slanted it more in his final work. Okay, so this is where study comes in handy. Yeah, and very dynamic. This man is known to have like making like so dynamic drawings. She's a woman, right? But look, if I just like hide the face in here, and it's like, yeah, he she looks like a male. Okay, almost like a male. So the angles, okay, the angles make more dynamic drawings. Like it turns out to be more dynamic. So look at here, like here and here. So with his hands he can do like this, okay, but it would be kind of like a more relaxed pose, okay, but he's pushing like angles in here, okay. So yeah, making like contrast between it. So this leg is kind of like very overlapped, okay, kind of like this. Oh, the feet is here, so something like this. And yeah, just look at the contrast that happens between 2 legs, and look at the angle that's going in here. Yeah, so tough positions to handle, but he's like really pushing it out. um, Very great. Composition wise, it's also great. And yeah, thoughts again, this is like so inspiring to me. I mean, at the age of 87, he's like, I'm still learning. Okay, so master like that, at the age of 87, like maybe on his deathbed, he's just like, I'm still learning, right? Very, very inspiring. And the second thought, you can read it. So basically, it's just like, if you know the amount of work that I did, my mastery would not be a great thought to you. So yeah, we don't
I
know
love
like
that one.
what.
I love that one. That's so true,
Yeah.
right? I think anybody who's really great at their skill would be able to say, if you only knew how much work I put into this, you wouldn't think it's that masterful at all.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
same
it's
thing,
great.
yeah. All right, let's move on. mm, let's move on. Jenny Seville,
Oh,
very
it's so weird that you're showing her. My wife and I just were watching a bunch of documentaries on YouTube about her last night. I love her work. She's amazing, amazing
yeah,
artist.
I mean, I really love her. I mean, I stumbled upon her just like of nowhere. One of the instructors or in my college, she was taking like a 10 days workshop or something, and she was
Mhm.
giving us assignments, and she just mentioned this artist. I was like, oh, okay, maybe someone. But when I see her work, I mean, poof, I mean,
Yeah,
enormous.
yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. So just to have a look at like what she's doing, she's almost like drawing, and it's like a big smooth newsprint, and she's like totally fearless. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no word of like kind of fear in her dictionary. Look at and these works are very, very big, so just look at the scale. I mean, it is small. This is small for her. Okay,
yeah.
here she is, Jenny Seville. And yeah, look at the scale of the work. I mean, and this is also like a medium-sized work. She has to like, she works on like really big scale than this as well. So the inspiring thing about her is first about like the size she's working on and the confidence she's possessing, and also like she's able to do it with paints. Okay, it's not just with the sticks or the pencils or whatever, but she's also able to do it with the paint as well. Okay, so look here, here she is, and here's her work. I mean, just imagine, making like a face this big. Okay, and you cannot like go back and forth again and again because you cannot like move. You're just like drawing the face, and she's still able to pull this off. And this is what again like Michelangelo possessed when he was like painting Sistine Chapel. So he cannot like go back and forth like, okay, so okay, the composition is right or whatever. He had to sit like this near to the wall and just like paint it. And yeah, this is again like really really inspiring. Yeah, look at the work again. Like two small men's and one big canvas, like double the size.
Two small men, one big woman's back. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
She reminds me as well of another painter whose name is Lucian Freud. Like to me, she
Oh yeah,
feels like
yeah,
the modern, yeah, she's like the modern version and the female version of like Lucian Freud, who's also an amazing painter and also works very large, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Look, the it's kind of self-portrait for her, and look at the paint, like the confidence in paint. She was like, yeah, push, 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 and just like getting that volume out and still expressive, like very, very expressive, right? And it is also very big, the
I
size of
recommend
whatever.
you watch the for you, Mrityunjay, I would recommend you go on YouTube and check it out. There's a really great conversation with her. She was in New York for a while,
Mhm.
and she connected with a plastic surgeon, and she would actually stay in the room and watch the surgeries. So a lot of her paintings, her earlier work, you could see it feels like you're seeing different layers of the face. It's almost like seeing layers of skin or seeing anatomy underneath, and it came from that. And she travels all over the world. Some of these
Wow.
paintings are from one of the paintings they talked about was about a blind girl in Russia, and how she painted her. And she paints criminals. Like she kind of goes all over the place looking for inspiration. And a lot of these big pieces,
Mhm.
especially when there's lots of different people in the shot, they're sometimes a collaged version of many different images put together, which is also kind of interesting that she has the ability to do that. She'll be like, oh, I really like that nose, I like this mouth and these eyes, and she puts it
Mhm.
all together into making like a new person's face, which is in a way what allows her to paint really big, because the photographs are like enlargements of only areas, and then she creates faces that are, I'm like 6 feet tall, over 6 feet. The faces are bigger than I am. They're like 8 foot tall paintings of just like this painting here is actually huge. This is about a 7 to 8 foot tall painting of this face. It's gigantic.
Yeah, this is a enormous one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I will definitely check it out. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
And here she is. If there's a narrative, I will want an obsession.
Exactly. Yeah, she said how the human body and like is like her
Mm,
driver, like she just loves people.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right. How much time we got?
You're over.
All right. So just about a couple more minutes. So yeah, Glenn Keane, Mike covered it. Just maybe let's see. Yeah, again the same thing. I just want to like call about a thought about him is just look how messy it is at first. Just like just cartoning it up, but I mean, the pressure is just fully on his hands, and he's just like pressing the hardest he can. But still, he's able to pull off that face and the expression in there. So yeah, that's a big thing for me.
Those are great
Uh,
picks.
Oscar winner, obviously, and with Kobe Bryant, and it's really sad that Kobe went. Kobe, like rest in peace to Kobe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Dear Basketball. He just directed many of the short films like Duet and Nefertiti. Here's
Hmm.
Dear Basketball. Okay. Uh, and yes, believe the impossible is possible, right? And he says this all the time with his characters. It's like I like the characters who believe that impossible is possible, right? Okay. So maybe like a mermaid who just like who is a mermaid but wants to, blend in with the humans or something like that, really great thoughts. I'll definitely find him on YouTube. He has a lot of great interviews and everything else. And Glenn Velpu, finally, from a top five, Glenn Velpu, really amazing guy, like modern Renaissance man, I would say. Look at his drawing. He what's kind of inspiring about him for me is he just like closes the gap between the traditional and the digital art. So whenever he's like doing digital art as well, this is a digital drawing, if you see, and this is a traditional drawing. So just look, there's like kind of no difference. So he's just like closing the gap between the two medias and really just proving wrong everyone that digital traditional both are different medias. They are just kind of same. As I said, basics always remain same, right? Yeah, and I include this picture because look here, he has like a kind of a step by step of doing like figure drawings he always follow. Look here, up above here, he's doing this, right? And there's like a YouTube video that he's like kind of explaining there, so definitely check it out. On a Comic Con or something, he's explaining this thing, like the force is going this way. Definitely, he don't use the force word that much, but the basics still remain same. Okay, and then he's like making this thing. He's like kind of showing us the mummifying, which we call like wrapping of the lines around the form to make it three-dimensional. This is the overlap. Okay, so yeah, one object, whatever, the other object creates depth. And the fourth is this perspective thing. Okay, so he's like kind of all insinuating these step by step in his figure drawings. Okay, and then light and shadow anatomy and rendering on top of that. Okay, and yeah, just want to make shout out to the Valpu movie. Okay, his documentary is coming. I don't know the exact date, but definitely check it out when it comes out. Okay.
Yeah, Glenn
Uh,
is, Glenn's like, Glenn to me is kind of like one of the consummate figure drawing instructors. I think he's in his 80s now. I don't know if I'm correct about that, but he's up there and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
been, he's probably taught figure drawing, yeah, 84. So yeah, he's taught figure drawing for what, 50, 60 years, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And with the honorable mentions, I don't have much here, but Bern Hoggart.
Hmm.
I grabbed this guy. This is my first to grab a book of his. Um, look at the form. Like he's kind of inspired by Renaissance again. Totally exaggerating the muscles, like every bulge of it. A lot of form, so dynamic. Like he has a lot of different books. And what kind of inspired me that he wrote a book on hand, and which I'm currently researching on. So
Hmm.
he wrote a full 400 pages book on hand, like only this much, like a hand, not even the full arm. So kind of inspiring how much you can study in there, and it is still not the ultimate goal. Okay, I mean you can study it more even. So yeah, just look at the form, and this is all the live demos that is given by him. I really like research on it, like what the live demos are. And you look here, he's also teaching a class on YouTube. I mean, he's not teaching a class, but there's a video on YouTube where he's taking a class, which is a very old video. So check that out if you want.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I
Rafael.
like on Bern Hogarth. I mean, I used to look at Bern Hogarth when I was in school for form. I think his strength is in construction. He's very, very
Yeah,
good at like building things, really, really well. Everything almost feels like it's made out of a block of wood and it's sculpted out like that. You know,
yeah,
yeah, it's cool.
yeah. I mean, these artists are kind of like difficult to study because, for a beginner, just like mind-bogglingly tough. Raphael, I include this picture. Mike's told you about this guy, but look at the roughness of it. I mean, not the roughness, but the freedom of that drawing that he's doing. Okay, he needs a Renaissance man. This is also Raphael, but look at the difference between these two drawings. And these are both different time periods. This is the big, not the beginning, but in the middle somewhere. And this is when he's like older. Okay, so yeah, just look at the exploration that he went through. Okay, from here to here. Yeah, very cool guy. And in the last, this is like where it all started from the childhood times. Okay, I want to mention the last. Tom and Jerry, really amazing. Just I was imagining when I started in college. I was like, can I do like those kind of animations, like legendary animations? And look at this, I still still love this, man. And who doesn't love Tom and Jerry, right? So this is Tex Avery, one of the animators on like many of the shows from, it's like the golden period of American animation. Okay,
Mhm.
so Tex Avery and Fred Quimby, making like a shot on, I think it's that dog, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, he's very inspiring to me. There are some more animators, but I have a look at Tex Avery and Fred Quimby's drawing, and they're super super amazing. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. I'll pass it on to Diego and hope you like it.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Well, okay, it's my time. So share
Your turn.
my screen. Okay, so I take it more on the route of Ritunje about what do we use to move on, like inspiration from Instagram and more. Just reading the title.
Mhm.
And what makes Diego Lucia keep going, and why you should post more art? Because here's the thing. Of course, I love every single artist Mike Swenley and Ritunje mentioned before, but I take it to another direction. I was thinking about sharing with you people I follow today, people that are alive today and working just like we are, right? And this is the reason why I say you should post more art, because we are looking around every day in social media, in internet, and anyway, and we find new artists with new thinking, and that's amazing, right? To find someone say, what is he doing or what is she doing? That's amazing. I want to see how he or she do that. So that's the way I took this Force Friday, is trying to show you, because every day I find a new one and has like millions of followers, and I didn't know that guy or that girl exist. So I'm sharing with you these people I have here. You already can see the names anyway, but I want to show it to you. And I want to start with this one. There's no particular order here. I like them all, and I love them all. So this is Willie Beckert. Uh, I really love how this girl can draw. There's I actually cannot say anything wrong about it. That's amazing. It's like every piece. If you go to the her Instagram and check out her work, because it's absolutely amazing. It's like every single piece. It's amazing. I'm gonna go fast because Ritunje didn't respect my time, and
I
no,
agree
I'm
with
just
you, by
kidding.
the way. I think Wiley is really one of the best out there. Wiley Becker, she's pretty awesome. You know, you could see that she is someone who has studied people like J.C. Leyendecker. Dean Cornwell would be another one. She feels to me like the American illustrators from like the 60s, let's say, 50s and 60s, and she's kind of
Yeah,
brought that feeling back. It's really she's amazing.
yeah, absolutely amazing. Here I got someone who I was honored enough for him to make a drawing of me. He's Albanese Rodriguez, and the way this guy paints is like I don't really know how he does it. It's like it's just strokes, because if you look at his work, take a look at this. What is this? But it's amazing. If you look, the whole composition is marvelous. It's Go check them out. There are many things you can see there, right? And and by the way, there are many people I know that are better than I am, that Mike is, the Sueli Ritunje, the Albanese, or any of these guys, and maybe we don't know that they exist. So that is the reason why I'm sharing this, because I love these people. I love the way they do things. So I'm sharing with you. You can check them out on Instagram. Okay, now here's another one. Take a look at this. This maybe is Ruiz Cruz. And again, look those shapes, look those form, look those light and shadow, how everything is created magically. It's like, this is 2D, guys. This is no 3D. This is 2D, and they give it the illusion of something volumetric, right? Again, here with those simple, sorry about the word, simple shapes here, like showing these feathers, and you can see the feathers there. I don't know. Just I don't know. These people are, to me, they're best beasts. No,
You seem
best
to like
beasts.
a painting style that's similar to what I like, which is either that it's loose and you see the brush strokes, but also people who kind of almost graphically create shapes that feel like they have a lot of
Yeah,
structure to them, right?
it's like they don't care, but they
Yeah,
really do. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah,
looks like they don't care, but they really do care. It looks like,
yeah.
oh, this girl can do like an illustration in 3 minutes, and
Right.
trust me, that's not true.
Yeah,
They think about every single stroke.
yeah,
I hope.
yeah.
If not, we're lost.
We're
Okay,
really in trouble. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Tom Booth, another amazing artist. Again, take a look at this work. Go see this Instagram. I won't repeat this like on every artist. I won't analyze every artist also, but check them out. These are really good artists and good things to be inspired. Like any taking what Ritunjay said a minute ago, uh, these people are not born like this. They have studied a lot, they have practiced a lot, they have learned a lot, and all of that thing brought them here, right? This guy doesn't draw like this because yeah, I want to draw something and I just draw. No, it takes time, right? This is another one. This 3D sculptor, and it's a modeler, and Gabriel is it's amazing. It's like every single thing you see there is like, can I touch that? And it's so awesome the way he designed every single sculpture. uh Again, I won't say go there because you're going to go. I'm sure you will. uh Victor Titov. Okay, I don't have a hat here. I will remove it from my head if I do. But take a look at this. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. Uh, Again, if you're a number person, like you check, oh, he has like 255K followers. Albanese has 29, and I'm sure I have people with less than that. It's not the amount of people you're following you, it's what you do and what you like to do, right? So don't worry about numbers. Numbers are just numbers, right? So let me move on to the next bunch. So we're moving fast here. Magdalena De Nova, again, super cool character designs, super likable and adorable creatures she creates. And I really like the style. It's very different from the one I mentioned before, but they're so cute. And that's hard to obtain a cute character, just little girls or little boys, and get them to be likable and adorable. I really enjoy watching her Instagram. Okay, here's another beast to me, Stevie Choi. All right, I'm just showing two posts from her work, but again, go there and take a look at that. It's this girl can draw. Absolutely can draw.
Yeah,
She can draw
TB,
whatever she wants.
she and I have talked because I love her work too, and fortunately, she knows about force. She uses force, so that makes me happy. She's a force artist, which is pretty cool because she does amazing character design work.
Yeah, and yeah, you can see here where she worked before.
Hmm.
EA, Netflix, Riot, Adobe, Square. These are not paying us, so I will stop mentioning. But you
Hmm.
know, she works in the big league, right? So it's not when you watch any artist or any drawing or any picture, you can tell what something is right or is wrong if you like it or not. It's not about liking, uh, it's about understanding, because you can like the style or don't like the style, but she can draw, right? And that's what I'm getting at. uh Another sculptor, uh shut up. Why? Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, check the amount of followers. Go follow this guy. This guy deserves like thousands. If you're a number person, go follow this guy. Uh, that's amazing. Creating this type of characters in 3D, sculpting this, uh, and giving the expressions and the feeling, those portraits, to call it in some way. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's cool. I like the caricature side of it too.
Yeah. Uh, Andy Strada. Here's another guy that can draw again. Uh, this is there's no word to me to describe this type of things. It's like, take a look how he thinks, because as we talk here in Force, when you see someone drawing, Mike says it at the beginning of the stream, watching the sketches of people, you can see how they think. And
Mhm.
to me, how Andy thinks, it's amazing. It's really really cool. uh, so let's keep going. And these two guys, Dave, I don't know where it is. Oh, it's on the side. So let's start with this one here, which is Greg Baldwin. Is one of the Creature Box. I hope you all know Creature Box. If not, go check out Creature Box. This other guy also can draw amazing, can paint amazing, and that's absolutely it's it's so fun to look at the work, that I can be like hours watching them and watching them draw. I'm talking about plural here, because I will talk in a minute about Dave Gertin, which is the other
Mhm.
guy from Creature Box. Uh, so it's so cool. Let me bring him up here.
Yeah, I didn't know Greg. I know Dave. Dave's stuff like blows my mind. Just so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. The work for the ink tower he did, I don't know if it was for the ink tower, but it's basically uh paper, ink, and this red ink.
Yep.
It looks amazing. It's absolutely amazing. uh and these two guys, if you look for, they had a lot of comic already created, like novels and many things, art books on Creature Box, that you can watch them forever. It's like every single line makes something beautiful, right? So these are my 12. I went fast, but I did two more. And here's something for you to check. That is three places that you can go and find everything you want: ArtStation, Pinterest, and if you don't find it there, go for Google. Google, I'm sure, will have an answer for you. And never stop looking at things. Never say, okay, this is, I know the best, the best. No, no, no. Keep looking. There are many people coming around. We have one here, right in that corner. I don't know if people are seeing that. We have Ritunjay, that to me, he's an alien, a scientific alien, drawing like I don't know. I don't understand this guy, but he's amazing, right? He's truly amazing. He's so young, and I would love to be him at that age, really. But because he's a monster.
Well,
Of course, I don't wanna get out of here without mentioning Swan Lee. That he's, oh, sorry, I hit the mic. So he's a great guy. And one thing that had Swan Lee is humble. He's super humble. He's an awesome person, right? And the way he draws, the way he creates, the way he designs, the way he speaks actually calms you down. If you're kind of nervous, go talk to Swan Lee. We have a lot of talks throughout these years, and he really calms you down. It doesn't matter if the word is falling, Swan Lee's quiet. Swan Lee tells you, okay, relax, everything's cool, and that's amazing to me. That's two things in one. It's a great human being, and of course a great artist. And of course,
It's that deep
yeah,
bass
don't
voice of
interrupt me. Don't interrupt me.
the-
And of course, we have here Mike Metesi, who has a lot to do with who I am right now. Uh, he taught me a lot of things, and also he taught me how to teach. And the things I do, of course, is part of me, part of everybody. But Mike has a lot to do there because he taught me how to teach, how to understand what a student is not ready and he needs to move to this place or to that place to get better. And he told me one thing. I wrote this on this article I wrote, that Mike told me that when he enters a classroom, he think about the students as his kids, right? So he will do everything he can to help them. And that's exactly what I do every time I start teaching. Is I think about them as being my kids. So I won't get angry at you because you're a student. I try to help you in any way I can. So with that, I want to thank everyone for listening to what I have to say, and I pass it on you, Mike, to keep going.
Thank you. So our surprise, I guess, if anything, today is Diego's last Force Friday with us. Well, I shouldn't say our last Force Friday. Diego will hopefully be back as a guest speaker in 2021. But he's coming to the end of his journey in being a Force instructor and moving on, right? So, and I think that's a great sign. I think, Diego's been with me for quite some time. He started his new thing called The Stairs, which I think you could find on your Patreon account, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to move on and teach that and hopefully inspire all of us with all the amazing drawing that you've been doing, especially on your Instagram account. I want to say personally, it's been a pleasure, teaching you and seeing you grow from being a student many, many, many years ago to also being my first Force instructor. That was a whole new bridge for me to cross, to actually have somebody else that I was calling a Force instructor and to, train you up in that space. And as you said, to watch you grow as a teacher, because just being a great artist does not mean that one is a great instructor. There's a lot of other skills that come along with that. And Diego has done an amazing job in becoming a great teacher. And then just, doing all the Force work that you've been doing with us. And this year, I think this is video number 37 or 38. So we've had this year of trying to hopefully educate the rest of you and entertain you at the same time. And I think, Diego was a great chunk of the entertainment aspect of the four of us.
I'm being the clown of the party.
I didn't say that, but thank you for being here. And yeah, I just want to wish you, good luck. And as I say to all of my students and now a former Force instructor, don't be a stranger. You know where to find me, and I know where to find you. So, stay in touch. I wish you all the best of luck with everything that you're going to do in the future. And hopefully we'll have you back in 2021,
Okay, before I go, I want to give back a little bit of something to the Force community. I didn't ask you this, Mike. I hope you have a problem with this. I'm going to give like a 25% discount to anyone who want to get the stairs. You can go to Gumroad and use the word Force Friday, and you get a 25% discount on the stairs. So thank you so much, guys. This has been an amazing journey. I learned a lot from Force, and I will see you around. I'm here. Yes. I'll be here.
Love you,
yeah,
Diego.
you're not going anywhere. Yes, we know where to find you. All right, guys. Thanks so much today for today's Force Friday. Hopefully we have all inspired you with some of the artists that inspire us. Go check them all out. Some of you are not going to like some of the artists that we shared, and there's others that you're going to, whose minds where their artwork will blow your mind, as it does with us, right? So just keep drawing, right? Keep drawing, stay inspired. I loved Mrityunjay's thing at the beginning about that versus being motivated. It's not just motivating, and it's not even just being inspired. It's actually acting on those moments of inspiration. So make sure you act, look, get excited, and do something about it, right? Make sure you get some kind of drawing or painting utensil in your hand and start doing stuff with it, okay? All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great holiday, and we will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yes, happy holidays, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.